But the first 2 years, from 14 to 16, you just done the odd jobs like fetching in tools for the stores, drill grinding and things like that. And you didn't start your apprenticeship until you were 16, and that was for 5 years.
I was taken on with 3 A-levels, and we were taken on as an interview. I think it was with James Wooding, who was the head of the training department at that time, and we're talking about October 53. And he suggested that we took on what he called a special studentship to specialise in installation and service work.
They tried to put you through the sort of elemental bits like the foundry and the plate shop early on in your training, and then as you got a bit of experience and skill, then you would do other and more interesting things. We worked in the electrical department, we worked in the test bays, you got used to handling running machinery, and you had a go at nearly everything.
I mean, going in the foundry was quite a dark, dismal and dirty place, and I think if that was the only view you'd had of W.H. Allen, you wouldn't have went any further.
Yes, in the office, and a wonderful basis for starting. I think I fared a lot better than some of my mates in that with a piece of paper I could go anywhere in the factory. The idea was that part of the job was to take the invoices around to the various departments that had ordered the stuff to get the signatures, say they'd received it and so on. And that involved going all over the factory. So my first year gave me a very good understanding of the whole layout of the factory and who was who. And I'm afraid I used to get carried away, get told off sometimes because I'd be seeing a system going on and stand there and watch it and forget about time, just watch what was happening. But it was definitely, as far as I was concerned, a very good sounding, very good start.
When I started in charge was a Mr. Wooding. He was the person who interviewed us and gave us our tests. One of the tests was he held a board up and he pulled a string, and you had a form in front of you with a series of wheels on it, and he said, if I pull this string, which way do they turn? If I pull this string, which way do they turn? And you had to tell him which way. That was one of his tests, and you had a written test, and then you had an interview.
Well, the first year you went into the apprentice training centre, which was a separate section with benches and machines, and you were taught the rudiments, literally how to hold a file on the first day, and how to use it, how to use a hammer and chisel, and you had to make various test pieces, which started off with a block of metal bar about 2.5-3 inches across, and you had to saw off a chunk and then chisel it into an oblong, square. It was square at the end, an oblong, and then the next chunk you had to file flat. All the sides had to be parallel and true, and then you drilled a hole in the middle and squared it out so that the block exactly fitted with just finger pressure. That was the precision fitting. They used to reckon we were trained to file to within 1/1000th of an inch. That was what a skilled man meant in those days. And that was just rough working.
Oh yes.
After that we got precise.
They just finished the adult training courses, so basically it was training on your machine. I went on to the bar lathe and I was given probably 2-hour training. Basically it was go in the deep end, basically, which is great, rather than just watching someone, doing work for a whole week and then get onto it. So in a sense you learnt by your mistakes. At that time we had a setter, and they were brilliant the way that they trained the adults.
So my particular role was to do 1 year intensive course through the works itself, and then 2 more years actually outside doing practical work on various sites around the country. and of course on all products that the company was dealing with.
I mean, being the works manager's office boy, one of the things that I was to do was obviously take messages across to the board. The chairman's office, what we call the corridor power, I suppose. You would be taking messages to Sir Kenneth, but he wasn't Sir Kenneth in my day, and when I started, but Sir Kenneth, Mr. Norman, people like that.
Towards the end of that year, Charlie Cook, who was the chief accountant, he asked me to stay on in the offices. Like an idiot, I said, no, I want to do things with my hands, I want to get out there on the shop floor, and spent the rest of my time trying to get back in the offices, I think. I don't know. But it's only later on in life I realised what an opportunity I probably lost there.